Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. In this special edition, we're focusing on the world of philanthropy with a spotlight on women donors. This as charities are coming under growing pressure amid a shifting political climate that's impacting support for diversity and inclusion, especially as a significant chunk of funding goes to women and girls around the world. In a moment, I'll be speaking to Suzanne Ehlers, Executive Director and CEO of USA for UNHCR. But first of all, let's take a look at how women have indeed impacted this sector.
Philanthropy. Unlike many other fields, it's often women, starting with some famous ex-wives who are, of course, so much more than that. Melindafrenchgates, a pillar of modern philanthropy. After co-founding the Gates Foundation with her former husband Bill, she now leads Pivotal, working to advance women's power primarily in the US. Mackenziescott is known for giving large unrestricted grants to non-profits. According to Forbes, she gave away more in 2025 than some of America's best-known billionaires have given in their entire lifetimes, including her ex Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Some of the most recognisable philanthropists are celebrities. Dolly Parton's career has always had two tracks, music and charity. Her Imagination Library has sent more than 270 million free books to young children around the world. She also funded COVID-19 vaccine research. And Oprah Winfrey wears many hats: star, media mogul, billionaire, but generosity has always been central to her story. Beyond her donations, she has a foundation focusing on female education. Others are less well known, but no less influential. From expanding technology access across Africa to shaping India's social sector and opening doors to top universities. Grassroots projects or global foundations, these women are making an impact.
And watching that report with me is Suzanne Ehlers, Executive Director and CEO of USA for UNHCR, which is behind a campaign called Building Better Futures, which focuses on education of refugee girls. Suzanne, thank you so much for your time. Firstly, can you explain to the viewer what exactly is Building Better Futures?
For those who are not familiar, this is a women-led and women-focused campaign aimed at transforming educational opportunities for refugee women. Barely 9% of refugee youth have access to higher education, and this campaign is looking to shift that. We're raising $15 million to fund 1,000 scholarships for refugee women.
Suzanne, you've had an extensive career in the sector. In your opinion, are women donors different to men?
No, I think what I've witnessed are distinct patterns between the way women give and men give. I see a focus from women donors on long-term impact and different stories of impact. I see women donors particularly interested in community building and collaboration through their grant making, which is a ton of fun to work with donors who are interested in making change that way. We know already that women control about 85% of philanthropic decisions, and in the decades to come, they will control the majority, frankly, of global wealth that's being transferred currently. So recognizing those patterns and speaking to those patterns with women donors is really important for the future sustainability of our efforts.
But when you look at Mackenziescott, as we've just seen in that report, she gave away more in 2025 than her ex-husband Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk did in their entire lifetimes, and yet she keeps such a low profile. Is that just her as an individual, or do you think it's a reflection of gender?
You know, it's interesting. I first want to say that the trend that she has sort of started as a philanthropy was really an acceleration of an existing trend. I mean, women donors have already been giving in ways that are sort of below the radar. They're not looking for one-time visibility. They're looking like, sort of sustained impact over time. So I really credit her with doing that work at an incredible scale. I think it's a case by case basis how much donors really want to be known, although it's true that women donors are often more satisfied sort of being in the background, if you will, of the grants they're giving and the impact they're having. But I love thinking of her as an accelerant at scale for trust-based giving, for unrestricted gifts, for moving with this incredible sense of urgency with her philanthropy, which, looking around the world today, we need urgent philanthropy more than ever. And I'm really grateful to her as a role model for other philanthropists, men and women and young generations both.
But is she the only one, or are there other donors like her as well? And do they tend to be predominantly women?
Well, I can't say that there's anybody quite like Mackenzie-Scott, given at the scale that she's given and in the sort of brief accelerated time period. I think we're seeing interesting evolving philanthropy from melindafrenchgates now on her own through Pivotal Ventures and also through the philanthropies of her children. I think that we have a number of incredible donors in our database who aren't seeking any notoriety and credit for what they're doing, kind of like a Mackenzie-Scott, but are moving quietly, and those are both men and women. So there's a real diversity in those who are looking to make impact, although, as you've mentioned, there are sometimes gendered patterns that emerge with donors, but it's still case by case. Humans are looking to express, I think, their values through their philanthropy and through their charitable giving. And that's sort of the most fun part of fundraising, is really having those values manifest.
And with the Trump administration cutting funding to so many NGOs, including, not to mention, the dismantling of USAID, how is this impacting your sector and in particular your organisation?
The U.S. government, even after incredible reductions, remains UNHCR's, the UN Refugee Agency, remains our biggest government donor. But the signal sent last year is that a lot of public sector, a lot of government donors sort of pulled back a bit, which puts the emphasis on organizations like mine, the funding partner to UNHCR here in the United States. We have partners all over the world doing what we're doing, which is raising funds from other sources, getting foundations, getting think tanks, getting major donors like the melindafrenchgates and Mackenzie-Scotts really interested in the work of refugees, of forced displacement, of humanitarian crises. So in many ways, the effect of last year is that there's even more of a focus on and interest in the private sector fundraising, everything outside of government. It will never fill all of the gaps, but it will go a long distance toward really empowering refugee women and girls in particular with their life transformation projects, which often include education.
Given that you've spent such a long time working in this area, I'm curious to know, from where you stand, how are women impacting the sector, and are there more and more donors as such?
I think, again, as we see this generational transfer of wealth at the global level, we will start to see women, not just making philanthropic decisions, but really with control over the way in which that wealth is utilized for philanthropy. I think we'll see more of what we've seen, which is a collaborative approach, a community building approach, questions around impact that go the distance, not just the change that's made today, but the change that then is fed over time to make families and communities stronger and more resilient. I hope we see an acceleration of that trend. Back to Mackenzie-Scott, I hope that as more women get involved in philanthropic decision-making and authorities, that we see more unrestricted giving and that we see trusted institutions pulled close and invested in again and again and again to increase their capacity over the long term. I think those are some of the trends, again, that we have seen in bits and pieces, but to think about the opportunity to really accelerate those is exciting for groups like mine. This Building Better Futures campaign, it's the first of its kind for us, women-led and women-focused, and refugee women deserve the education opportunities that they're being given, and then they're going back as educated women and investing, speaking of wealth, 90+% of their income in families and communities. So there really is sort of a gendered trend, if you see, around educated women and women as philanthropists of the future.
But is it hard to attract women to become donors?
No, not at all. And in fact, I would venture that maybe more than half, slightly more than half of our current active donors at USA for UNHCR are women, again, because they're driving the decision-making in their families, because they see women and girls reflected in our stories, because they see campaigns like Building Better Futures, and they see women as leaders, as philanthropists, and say, I too want to be a part of it, even if my grant is only $25 a month over the course of a year, which is how my mother supports my organization. So yes, I think the more that we see philanthropists modeling the change and the community and the collaboration that can be built, I think that we will continue to attract more, but it has never been hard to attract women to philanthropy. I think we're often just not inviting them in the right ways, and that is something that Building Better Futures really turned on its head, and we let those women donors sit in the driver's seat and define how change would take place, and what impact would look like. And I hope we're able to replicate it over many different areas over the course of the next several years. It's been gratifying and very impact-driven for refugee girls.
Suzanne Ehlers, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Annette.
And that's it for this edition. So until the next show, bye for now.